Hello, my name is Dr. Yaya Sissoko. Today we are going to talk about Chapter 10, Public Policy to our Externalities. So, when an externality causes a market to reach an efficient allocation of resources, the government can respond it in two ways. The first one is command and control policy, which will regulate behavior directly. The second one is market-based policy. In this case, the government provides incentive so that the private decision maker will choose to solve the problem on their own. For instance, the government can implement corrective taxes, which will increase the cost of so the cost of production to include the social costs. The government provides subsidy, which is financial assistance to businesses who are engaged in getting clean technology. The government can also provide tradable pollution permit to business firm, which businesses who don't pollute, who pollute less, can sell this permit to business who pollute more. In that case, the average pollution will decrease. So through regulation, the government can monitor the behavior of business who pollute directly by making certain behavior either required or forbidden. Where the government cannot eradicate pollution completely, but will try to reduce it as possible. For the regulation, the government created the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, in 1972. The EPA would develop to enforce regulation. The EPA would dictate maximum level of pollution. They would require firms that adopted a particular technology in order to reduce emission. So the government can impose corrective taxes or provide subsidy. What is a corrective taxes? The corrective tax is known as a Pigouvian, taxes. It enables private decision maker to take account of the social cost of pollution, that can rise from negative externality. So the corrective taxes will places a price on the right to pollute, so reduce pollution at a lower cost to society, raise revenue for the government, and that revenue can be used to enhance economic efficiency. So why is gasoline taxes so heavily in the US? It's because of negative externality associated with driving. So driving causes congestion, so accident and pollution. You can see that, for instance, when this guy said, I have a plan of reducing dependency on oil, imported oil. So this guy said, so no bloody oil, for instance. So this guy says cut wasteful consumption, for instance, no SUV, so they consume a lot of gas and then they pollute more than a small car, for instance. So so this guy said lower, lower greenhouse, emission, for instance, promote alternative fuel, for instance, electric car or gas car, for instance. Mm, Stop global warming from this guy over there. So increase the taxes on gasoline, so $3.49, and so on and so forth. Before we talk about why gasoline is heavily taxed in the US, let's give one example of command and control policy. For instance, it's a crime to dump poisonous chemical into the water supply. In this case, the external cost to society far exceed the benefit to the polluter. The government therefore institute a command and control policy that prohibits this act altogether. Now, so gasoline is taxed with so the corrective tax or Pigouvian taxes. So Arthur Pigou is a French economist, 1877 1959, who used these type of taxes. So, mm, so economy prefer corrective taxes to regulate as a way to deal with pollution because they can reduce pollution at a lower cost to society. So, so an ideal corrective tax would equal to the external cost from an activity with negative externality, and an ideal corrective substitute would equal the external benefit from an activity with positive externality. So the tax does not cause there were losses make the economy work better because if you tax gasoline, people will use, so will travel, will use less their vehicle, which is less traffic, and congestion instead of spending 2 3 hours to drive to go to work. So less fewer car on the road, and the road are safer, fewer accident, and cleaner environment because you have less car on the road, less pollution. So for instance, in the U.S., so the people can use public transportation to go to work. The public transportation, the buses and subway are cheaper, so they are subsidized by the government. They can also use what is called carpool. If you work at the same place, so four, three, four, five people work at the same place instead of each of them driving, the vehicle. They take turn. One day, one person will, pick up everybody and drive them to work. Another day, it's the turn for another person. So in that case, then there's less vehicle on the road, less traffic, the congestion, so less accident and less pollution. Also in the US, we use also, one example of, so public transport, common transportation, which is, park and ride. You drive to a specific location. The company will provide a bus to pick up all the workers from that location, take them to work, and after work, the company will drop them back to the location. They can pick up the vehicle and go home. So that's also less traffic, less pollution, and safer road because you have less car on the road. So, what do you think? How high should the tax on gasoline be? So, most European countries have higher gasoline taxes than the US. For instance, if you look at the Journal of Economic Literature, the issue in 2007 showed that the optimal corrective tax on gasoline, should be $2.28 per gallon in 2005, $2.70 per gallon in 2012, dollars. So the actual tax in the US on gasoline was 50 cents per gallon. So you can see that that was way, way lower than the $2.70, provided, by the Journal of Economic Literature. The tax revenue from a gasoline tax could be used to lower taxes that distort incentive and cause there were loss. For instance, the government can use the tax revenue to provide income tax to lower income taxes. The income taxes could give incentive to people not to use the vehicle. For instance, use public transportation such as so public buses or subway. So some other decision, by the government, like a government regulation on making requiring of from auto maker to produce a fuel efficient car was not necessary because people, a lot of people did not comply with that. They prefer bigger car, much more powerful car, SUV, so which will, pollute more than the fuel efficient car. So this requirement to automaker did not work in that sense. So another public policy toward externality could be tradable pollution permit. So voluntary transfer of the right to pollute from one firm to another. So new scale resource pollution permit will, you know, will have a market to be, to trade permit. So firm will be willing to buy it depending on the cost of reducing pollution. What are the advantages of free market for pollution permit? So the initial allocation pollution permit doesn't matter. You can give them any, number of permit. The firm can reduce pollution at low cost, so they can sell whatever permit they get. Firm can also reduce pollution only at high cost, so buy whatever permit they need. So this will lead to efficient final allocation of permit. Figure number 4 deal with the equivalence of corrective taxes and pollution permit. So panel A talk about corrective taxes. So the EPA will set the price of the pollution at P, which is the corrective taxes. So this price of pollution will cross the demand for pollution right at this point, and you can go down to find the quantity of pollution. So on the other hand, in panel B pollution permit, the EPA will set up the supply of pollution by determining the quantity of pollution. So the supply cross the demand for pollution right at this point, and then you go to find the price of the pollution, which is this one. So the price and quantity of pollution are the same in the two cases. So there were objections to the economic analysis of pollution at the US Senate. The late Senator Edmund Muskie said that we cannot give anyone the option of polluting for a fees. It's a bad idea. So people face trade-off, or it's impossible to eliminate all the pollution, but everybody want clean air, clean water. There is opportunity cost because it's going to lower the standard of living if people get sick. So there should be a trade-off for, how much pollution can we, so reduce so that people don't get all the burden. Economists consider clean environment as a normal good. What is a normal good? A normal good is a good when your income increases, you buy more of the normal good and you buy less of the inferior good. For instance, new car is a normal good, used car is inferior good. So, so there is a positive income elasticity for the normal good. So a rich country can afford a cleaner environment, so and then they can afford more rigorous environmental protection. So this means that clean air and clean water so follow the law of demand. So as price goes up, quantity demand goes down. As price goes down, quantity demand goes up. So the lower, in that case, the lower the price of the environment protection, so the more the public want to public want it.